You're listening to Living with Lewy. Well, hello, folks, and welcome back to this edition of Living with Lewy. And today I want to just share with you some of the different coping strategies that I have learned that to help me. And I'm going to start out by talking about some of the things that have helped me to work on my speech. I have been working with a speech therapist now for a little over a year, and she has taught me that there is when it comes to my speech that I have to sometimes pause a little bit and kind of let my my brain's thoughts and my mouth get into some type of synchronization. There's what I had a lot of trouble with at first when I first started working with these speech therapists. I had a lot of trouble with what I call logjam, where my brain knows what I want to say, but my mouth does not want to engage to say it. So by pausing a little bit, waiting a second, and trying to slow that process down, I have been able to uh, get the words out most of the time that my brain wants my mouth to say. So uh, maybe it's a good thing that as I know that my filter has become less effective, that perhaps slowing things down uh, is probably a good thing. Um, One of the things that I have trouble with sometimes is word retrieval. And so when I have trouble with trying to retrieve a word, I will oftentimes stop for a minute and think about it, see if I can't retrieve it. If I can't retrieve it, then a couple of things is I've learned to describe or try to describe what it is I'm trying to say, or perhaps coming up with a synonym, not cinnamon. Cinnamon's what we put on our toast. Synonym um, is what I tried to come up with. Um, when when with one of the things that also happens is easy onset, or to you get stuck on a word and you get you get what they say. What easy onset is like I get stuck on a word and I hold the sound, like I might go monkey. I'm holding on to that M sound. Um, and so yeah, I think that those times I have to stop and ease into the word, and oftentimes I can get that out. Um, it's um, it's been something that I've had to work on for a long time, and I have to employ the strategies constantly, um, and you have to um, try to think about it and slow it down. But certainly, one of the things that I talked about this another episode is that a lot of people who talk to me on the phone or People that I haven't seen for a little while, they go, "Oh, your speech is much better. You must be better." Well, that's not necessarily true. What is true is that I've got a very good speech therapist, and Allison's just done a great job with helping me, and it's taken work. I've had to work at it, and I don't know that I'll ever have to stop working at it in order to keep my speech where it is. Um, the So that's that's one of the things that I those are some of the things that I've been working on as far as my speech goes. Excuse me. My next the other coping strategies that I've learned to employ are more with my mobility, um, and for me, as I started to work with my physical and occupational therapists, they saw that I was leaning forward, leaning on my toes. And when you start walking out on your toes and leaning forward, you're at a pretty high risk for a fall. And I was having to use a walker often, and 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 the cane. But at any rate, with when it comes to that walking issue, the the therapy team has taught me that there's a thing called neuroplasticity. Your brain, when I used to walk, used to automatically you just kind of walk. Something I probably learned around the age of 2, and you don't think about it. But in order to walk in a safer manner, I have learned that I have to retrain my brain to um, position my feet the correct way. And so I know you've heard me say this before, perhaps, is that I always have to say, heel first, put your weight in your heels, get off your toes, get on your heels, put your heel down first, put your heel down first. And that's something that even now that we're a year into working with this team of therapists, that I still have to do. I still have to think about putting my heel down first as I'm walking. Just recently, I had to make a change with regards to my neurologist. And my new neurologist said, "Well, walk down there and walk back and leave your cane here." And he said that immediately he saw that my walking was something that I had to think about, that it wasn't something that was just automatically coming to me. And I told him, yes, that I had learned this from my therapy team to put my heel down first. And he said, "Well, kudos to your therapy team. Sounds like you've got some good people working with you." Well, he's 100% right about that. So, with regards to mobility, that's kind of what I've had to do. And then the other thing that I find I have to is arm swing. You don't think about that before because your right foot would go down, your left arm would come forward. Well, now my when I walk, unless I think about my arm swing and when it's starting, if I lead off with my right foot, I need to bring my left arm forward because what was happening is my right arm would come forward with my right leg. And that doesn't lend itself to very good balance. So I had to I have to constantly think heel first and get that hand started. If I start with my right foot with my left arm forward and start to walk, my arm swing will follow. However, if I don't, oftentimes I'll catch myself with my arm swing not being opposite of my foot, being with left arm, left foot, right arm, right foot. But I will stop and then purposely start out with the arm swing and the foot, so that everything's in the proper sync. And this sounds kind of crazy, but uh, it's the way it's been for me. Is that walking, which everybody takes kind of for granted, has not has become something that requires some thought, and I have to think about what it is I'm doing in order to keep myself as safe as possible. Because oftentimes when I'm not thinking about it, I'll be up on my toes before you know it, and before you know it, I'm catching myself with my cane, and um, so then I have to stop and go, no, 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 get your weight in your heels. And even when I'm doing exercises, I have to remember, keep your weight more back in your heels. And one of the ways that I've learned to do that is kind of pull up on my toes. If I pull up on my toes, your weight automatically goes back to your, well, automatically, I won't say automatically, but your weight is kind of forced to go back into your heels. So then you're in a better position for balance. Like I said, you get too far forward, too much on your toes, you're at a higher risk for fall. That is not anything I'm interested in. That is what uh, injures most people, and I don't, not in any hurry to become um, a a statistic, if you will, falling, and I'm just really trying my best not to uh, put myself into that situation. The other thing with my mobility that I have found is that um, something that has helped my balance greatly is what they call large movement or exaggerated movement exercises. And you can find these on YouTube and various other places. But basically, what you're doing is you're challenging your body's natural balance system. And so I don't recommend that you do this without anybody else. When I do these exercises, it's with my therapy team right there, and they make sure that if anything happens, they're right there to correct it or to keep me from falling. Now, if I try these things when my therapists aren't present, it makes things a little more sketchy. And if you, so I try to refrain from that. I do see therapists uh, probably 4 out of 5 days a week. And well, as far as that, the physical part. And then I see a speech therapist once a week. So I've got a therapist here 5 days a week. Um, so that's the way I kind of cope with that. The next thing I want to talk about is dexterity. My hands, the dexterity, my brain is telling my hands what to do. Problem is, my hands don't do what my brain's thinking they should do. I have a lot of trouble, like with handling utensils, washing the dishes. Oftentimes, I'll drop dishes, and this is something that frustrates me to no end. Your hands, my goodness, when you stop and think about how many things you use your hands for, and when your hands and your brain aren't in sync, it can be very frustrating. And so, again, this is another situation where I have to, um, try to keep my frustration under control, which is easier said than done. And then I also have to slow down and think and say, okay, wait a minute, it's going to take me a little longer, and just keep working at it until I can get it, whatever task it is that I'm doing, um, uh, to proceed the way that I would prefer to see it. Um, So that's those are things that I do for my dexterity. The um, the other thing that I've found is that I've had to employ strategies to help keep my organization intact. I have, for instance, I take medications morning, noon, and night, 7 days a week. So my wonderful wife got me this nice pill organizer that has your morning, noon, and night on all 7 days. So Tuesdays are when I sit down and work on my meds. Now, usually, what reminds me what day of the week it is actually the next medication uh, cup that I have, and it'll tell me what day it's on. So as I go through those 7 days, when I get to Tuesday, guess what? There's no medication, so that I know I've got to sit down and go through them. But one of the things that they came up with for me was a list of my medications. That list tells me what time it is, time I take it, morning, noon, or night. It also totals at the bottom so that I know that if I open up my morning pill pack, it should have 8 meds in it. Okay. If I open up my midday, there should be 3. So I can look and if I'm questioning it, I can count how many are there and look at my list and see that the totals actually match. Um, then as I go through my meds, I have them in a bag, and I'll take the medication bottle out and I check it off my list that that's the one I'm doing, and I'll look, okay, is this med morning, noon, and night, or is this just a morning med, or just a nighttime med? And make sure that everything's going in the right place in the pill box so that I can keep my medications straight. I have a booklet that records my vitals uh, that the therapy team makes entries into every day that they're here. And for me, I keep the book in a specific place, and I keep a pen with the book so that everything's right there, and I know exactly where it is. And so that's another thing that I've done. The other thing that I have is a to-do list that I write down some of the things that I want to accomplish, and as I go through them, I cross them off, and that's an ongoing list, of course, because there's never end to a list of things that you have to do. The other thing that I've done is I've learned to communicate frustrations with my wife. Not frustrations with my wife, but frustrations that I experience with my wife. Um, the uh, the one thing that I'll give you an example. She rearranged some things in the kitchen, and with that role reversal, since I'm not working and she is, and I'm home most of the day, I try to make sure she comes home and the dishes are put away, and then things are kind of back in order. And um, for me, the consistency and knowing where things go is important. And when you rearrange things, A, I can't find them. B, I don't know where they go. And C, it all leads to a lot of frustration for me. So that's something that I've me and my wife have learned is that if I can communicate with her things that make it easier, she certainly will do everything that she can to accommodate it. Um, and like she keeps a schedule for the month up on the refrigerator and with dry erase, and we go in there, and my appointments are there. Anything that needs to be scheduled goes on to that calendar. So that's those are some of the coping strategies that I have learned. I'm sure that everyone has their own set of coping strategies, but these coping strategies, do they make this Lewy body um, better? No, they just make it easier to live with. And so, those are some of the coping strategies that I have. Be more than happy for you to share yours. You can share them with me on the Living with Louie podcast Facebook page, or you can join the Living with Louie podcast group on Facebook. And that's something that we've been growing and trying to get more people involved with. So um, I thank you, and we'll look forward to the next episode. Please remember, folks, that we are 100% voluntarily funded by our listeners. So please go to the link and at the bottom of your favorite podcast provider, and you'll find a link there that says support the show, or you can find us on GoFundMe under Living with Louie podcast, and every dollar counts, and every dollar helps. So please take a minute and go in and support the show. We certainly would appreciate it. The only thing we try to do is cover our operating costs and equipment maintenance costs. So we thank you and have a great day. We'd like to thank you for joining us for this edition of Living with Louie.